Hello, folks, and I welcome you in another exciting episode of the Business Narrative. Thank you so much for showing your love and support to our channel. And as I promised, that I will going to invite doctors, dentists to help you out so that you can improve your oral hygiene. And on the other side, today's guest, he is not just a doctor; he is mission-driven entrepreneur. He is building empires in dentistry. With that, he also helps DSOs to improve their practices. He is none other than Dr. Tarek Ali. Dr. Tarek, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here on your reputable platform.
The pleasure is all mine. So let's start conversation from this point. Let's go back 25 or 30 years back in Egypt, where you were a child and you were dreaming to become a pilot, right? But on the other side, your parents want you to become a doctor, and you became a doctor, you become a dentist. But after that, you build empires, you pursued entrepreneurship, and now you are one of the finest businessmen in USA. But my question is, why you give up becoming a pilot? Like it was your dream.
It started with, growing up in Egypt. I've always had a fascination with planes, and most of my toys growing up were planes, and I really wanted to be a pilot. But then as I grew older a little bit, I thought, okay, I've been fascinated by entrepreneurships and business people, and I've seen how impactful they are. But if you know anything about Egyptian parents, you don't negotiate with them. They say you have to be a doctor, just like they are. You don't have a choice. You say, "Aye, aye, Captain." So I pursued the dentistry career to satisfy my parents, and then I learned to love it in school when I started working on patients. And the businessman inside me actually never left me. Dentistry became the vehicle, not the destination. And the I started doing business classes, MBA, CVA, marketing diploma, and started going that career path. I uh, I didn't choose between a doctor and a businessman. I picked a career that I can do both.
I will totally going to agree with you because, like in any part of the world, going against parents' will is the most hardest and challenging thing. So now you shifted from Egypt to US, right? So according to you, what were some cultural shocks you faced? And on the other side, according to your experience, like which market is hard to navigate, like US market or Egyptian market?
Egypt is like India and in China and some places in the East. It runs mostly on relationships. It runs mostly on hierarchy and relationships. America usually runs on systems and speed and process. In the US, no one cares about your title. They care about your results. What impact are you doing? And actually, that was liberating for me. So professionally, um, being in the US gave me that mentality of the systems, processes, but also there's resources and access to capital, M&A markets, and the ability to actually scale was a lot better in the US versus Egypt. So I kind of like both philosophies, the relationships and that feel, that collectivism, but also the systems, processes, access to capital, access to resources that America brought, which enriched my experience in both ways. You can do, you can be successful in either markets. You really have to understand how the market functions. So I cannot tell you which one's better, but I can tell you in some aspects the US market is better, and in some aspects your local environment is better. You just have to figure out which path will, or what tools to use in each path.
I think market research is the most important thing for all the entrepreneurs, right? So do a market research first, then launch your business. So Dr. Tariq, as we all know, you started as an parodontist, right? But I want to know the exact moment when you decided that you want to build your own empires and you want to practice dentistry in your own way.
I love the clinical dentistry because you actually make an impact in people's lives. The fact that you can see a patient smile after years of not being able to smile was profound. But I also realized that your hands can only treat one patient at a time. You only have 8 hours in your day. And you being a dentist in one location is impactful, but it's only impactful to a certain number of people a day because of the limitation of time and space. But I realized that by building a system and scaling it up, you can impact hundreds, if not thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of patients a year. And that's very profound. So when I realized that you can scale, you can build a system that can make a bigger impact, that was a turning point for me.
So there is a major debate nowadays that dental school they never teach you how to do business, right? But on the other side, we see people like you, they are building empires like 110 clinics you have, and you are running them in a very successful manner. So according to you, like how you have learned doing business? I'm pretty much sure it was not in classroom, but real life experiences or entrepreneur real world taught you how to do a business.
School versus real world experience. So I would definitely vote experience by a long shot. The schooling piece or the MBA or whatever degree you have can give you the language and the framework, can give you some basics. But the battlefield is what gives you real judgment. The school can teach you the rules, but the business teaches you all the exceptions. No classroom teaches you what a personally guaranteed loan feels like at 2 a.m. when you're sitting there worried about the loan and are you going to make payments. No school is going to teach you how you are barely enough to make payroll, and that single mom who's working for you that is putting bread on the table, how are they going to survive next month if you don't do the payroll? No school is going to give you those lessons. These are battle scars that you have to go through. Fortunately, you don't have to go through them, but as an entrepreneur, you will face those. No school is going to teach you. No school is going to teach you that a signed contract is only as good as the person behind it. These are battle scars that you learn. These are battle scars that you learn by experience.
So, Dr. Tariq, do let me know what were some unexpected leadership and operational challenges you had faced as you expanded.
So I'm a part owner in 100 plus dental clinics from, but they are different organizations, and each organization has its challenge. The early on when you're first starting, your biggest issue is acquiring clients or patients or your lead generation. Basically is going to be your hardest in the beginning, but at scale your problem shifts more to consistency. Consistency is very, very hard at scale. Culture dilution, communication lag, the fact that you cannot personally inspect anything anymore. Your the surprise is that your biggest risk stop being the clinical or the financial piece, and it becomes people, and it becomes information flow, it becomes systems, it becomes consistency. The problem that you face in location number 2 or 3 or 10 that you learn about 4 weeks later, that's not the case when you're small. When you're small, you're very involved, you're very tactical, you're very in the front lines. But when you scale, the information flow is not the same. KPI tracking, systems, processes, it becomes a problem. It's hard. Starting a business tests your courage because we have a lot of fear starting a business, going that first mile. But scaling one really tests your systems and processes.
You know what I think? The massive challenge is maintaining high standards when you are scaling. So I want to ask you, how do you ensure that every patient that visit your locations, like 110 locations, they will going to get same patient care or treatment across all the locations, right? Because when I was researching, I came to know that your standards and your KPIs, they are very high.
You don't really manage multiple locations. You manage a playbook. You manage a standard operating procedure. You manage a system that you execute in multiple locations. In the beginning, with one or two or three locations, you may be managing one or two or three locations, but later when you scale, it's usually you're managing a playbook. Does my system work? If you need to be physically present at your offices or your locations, that means the system has failed somehow. We need to fix that. You need to audit relentlessly. You need to really have a good auditing tool. So my framework has been systems, tracking KPIs, delivery, audits, the discipline loop. And remember, your standard operating procedure or your checklist or your system is nothing without audits. It's like having a speed limit sign. If the speed limit sign says 100 kilometers an hour, 70 miles an hour, 60 miles an hour, that's just a recommendation. Unless you have the cop at the side of the road, then your system, no one's going to drive that speed limit. No one's going to respect it, but you have to have the audit for the speed limit sign to be respected. And as far as the your question about which was harder, the quality culture or you say patient experience, I think that the definitely culture, because quality you can measure with KPIs. Patient experience you can survey, but culture actually drifts slowly. Culture is one of those that it's because you're dealing with humans, you're not dealing with machines or robots or AI. Everyone's different. You may have someone had a bad day. You may have someone who had a fight with their spouse this morning. These are not scalable, right? You have to have some sort of a process to scale that, which is very, very hard. And these are the things you can't put on a dashboard. You can protect it by uh, having careful hiring tools and being very mindful on who you promote and enhancing your culture. But it's very hard to scale.
When I was researching about you, one thing that caught my eye is that most of your clinics, they are located in rural areas. Nowadays, entrepreneurs or businessmen, they wanted to launch their businesses in luxury areas so that they can have more patients or customers, right? So, um, like, what is the thought process behind it? Number two, how helping to these communities impacted you as an entrepreneur?
Growing up in Egypt, and I've seen a lot of poverty and I've seen lack of access to care. And when I moved to America, I realized that there's also lack of access to care. Maybe not at the same scale, but there are a lot of patients that do not either have the means financially or geographically. They don't have the means to access care. So I realized that the need is real. The Most dental practices or businesses in general focus mainly on the bigger cities. They chase those bigger cities or the suburbs, but the kids in those rural communities deserve excellent care, and a lot of them really don't have those means. So I made it a mission to actually focus on those areas, grow them, work with lobbyists and senators to improve healthcare in certain areas, to increase reimbursements for dental professionals, to pave the way and make it less obstacles for those dental professionals to provide those access of care specifically for those rural communities. Many children who would otherwise wait months or drive hours to get care, I thought um, it would be some sort of a give back to the community to focus on those areas, and it's a win-win for everybody.
AI is rapidly transforming healthcare. So, where do you see AI is making an impact in larger organizations, like, for examples, in operations, in patient care, or it is reducing repetitive tasks, like how you are seeing the future of AI in healthcare, especially in dentistry.
Yeah, so AI has been a buzzword for a while, and a few years ago, when it was first, it being introduced in the market, a lot of companies will say, "Hey, we provide AI, we provide AI," and a friend of mine used to say, "It's not real AI. AI here means all India," because they used to hire developers from India, and they say, "Oh, it's AI," because in India they're very very good at IT and software. So and then later it became actual real AI. Anyways, that was a funny moment about how Indians are well known to be great software developers and engineers. We started seeing a big shift in the market because of AI, and the quality of care and how the patients are served are significantly getting impacted with AI. Patient communications, for example, with voice AIs answering phones 24/7, so no missed calls, automated recalls and follow-ups, automated texting, automated payment methods, uh, auditing, checklist systems and processes, revenue cycle management, submitting claims, credentialing. These are all repetitive tasks that can be easily done by AI now, and made a big impact because AI doesn't really replace the human touch, but it removes everything that is monotonous and repetitive so that the patients can be really taken good care of by the team members who are focusing on the patients. So it's impacted our life significantly.
Obviously, AI is here to help you, not to steal your jobs, right? One more thing, and the last thing is, you believe in networking and building relationships. So, like, these networks or these relationships help you in your crucial time.
Good question. Relationships really, everything, your deals, your partners, your mentors, your vendors, the network of peers that you connect with on a deeper level to understand how things are functioning. No spreadsheet will ever give you an opportunity. People will give you opportunities. No spreadsheets will ever teach you how to connect deeply with patients, but people do, and those connections make a difference. Uh, in my entire portfolio, between all the offices, the California offices, the Texas offices, or wherever they are, it's really built on relationships, not a spreadsheet or a system or a process. It's really relationships.
Before we wrap up, Dr. Tariq, last thing, if you get a chance, hypothetically, to give one sort of advice to your younger self, what would be that advice?
I would definitely focus more on team members, focus more on systems and processes. Because in the beginning, when we first started, you really don't know what you're doing. You're like trying to struggle, figuring it out, trying to make enough money so you can survive the next payroll. But sometimes we forget to focus on the team members. Scale for business owners, scale your revenue before you scale your infrastructure, because sometimes your infrastructure can, building it up to a bigger degree than what you need, could tank you. uh, Adding more locations on a broken platform or a broken foundation just means more problems, faster, more problems. uh, the business needs you as an entrepreneur in every decision. You didn't build a business, you built a job with overhead. So you have to make sure you focus on the infrastructure, focus on the revenue stream, focus on your team, and I think you'll be all set. And you know what? It's a learning experience for all of us. So I'm learning every day. And if you ask me again in a month, I may have different perspective because we're all still learning.
Thank you so much, Dr. Tariq, for your precious time, and I hope all the viewers will going to love the podcast. Do subscribe the channel, show some support. And till then, keep daring, keep listening, and keep achieving your goals.